My birthday is the 8th of the 9th, 1932, isn't it? The 5th of the 9th, 1932. I always thought it was the 8th, it's the 5th.
When and where were you born?
Cashel. In the old St. Patrick's, which used to be called the county home.
Okay.
And
who were your parents?
my parents was Patrick and Catherine Toomey.
And what was your mum's maiden name?
She was Catherine Kane.
Okay. So just tell me a little bit about your dad.
My dad, yes, he was nearly 90. And it was 90 when he died. And he was never sick, never complained or never stayed in bed. And never had a headache. He said he didn't know what a headache was. He never took a tablet.
And worked hard all his life?
Very hard, yes, and used to go down across the fields in the morning to cut a shortcut, not to be going the roads like, because he went on to the Clonmel Road. He used to work, and he used to go across the fields to make it short.
Lovely, quiet man.
Lovely, quiet man, very quiet. He never laid a hand on us, but he didn't have to, because my mother was the was the one that done all the chastising.
She was the boss in the house.
She was the boss. We didn't know what birthdays were, because we never had a birthday, you know.
Yeah.
We just
Christmas
knew.
wasn't celebrated
Christmas,
too much.
no, very little we got. We might put up our stocking, but if we did, it could be, you know, the cinders out of the fire, or there could be a block of soap or something, some simple, silly things, and be put into it.
Yeah.
That's all Santa could afford to give us.
Yeah.
You know, but
what I get from talking to a lot of the people around us, people had a lot less, but they seemed to be a lot happier.
Oh, much happier.
Now,
oh yes.
Aren't they?
Oh, definitely. That's why today I still be watching the shillings.
Yeah.
It would always be engendered into you, like, you know,
Yeah.
that we didn't have it, and how well off we were then when we got so little, you know. My poor mother, they had nothing, God love us. And to have one after the other then, they would have measured the things that she'd done, you know. And she was such a strong person. I depended on her a lot then when I had the children. Someone got a fall, or I think it was Margaret, and she'd say, look, she'd make nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Even it could be a big thing. And she used to go around then when the people died long ago, she used to go around to the houses and she'd lay out the corpse.
Your mother would?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they used to do then. That's what she used to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, like the people that used to die, she'd go and she'd lay them out, like.
Yeah.
She was an undertaker, and then she was a midwife as well, because she used to go when the babies, even one of my sisters, she had the twins, and my mum was there to deliver the twins before the doctor came. So everything went perfect.
Lovely. And you were telling me that she used to work herself. She used to work out in the fields.
She did. She done everything out in the fields. She never ploughed, she said. My father was always after the plough. Then there was no tractors or anything like that, and he'd be ploughing the fields, and all the crows used to be flying around him in the fields. And he going along the furrows, and the first one, somebody said to him one day, how do you do the line so straight? He said, once you get the first one right, the rest of them is, you know, no bother. So then he used to finish his work and come home in the evenings, and he had a little terrier, and the little terrier used to go to work with him in the mornings, and the terrier come straight back home, and the terrier knew the time in the evening, and he'd be straight across the fields again to go back down, waiting for him to come home, and he'd bring him home with him.
Your dad was a good man to drink before he got married?
He was an alcoholic. He drank all he ever had. So when he was even getting married, the day he was getting married, he hadn't even a coat to put on him, a short coat, like, he was in the shirt. But as he said then, after getting married, he said, like, it was time to do something right. So he never took another drink from that day on. He said he couldn't rear a family and be drinking.
And drink.
Yeah, so he never did.
No.
She said he wasn't gone outside the door when the child was born, and she just put it on her knee and trusted in God after that. My mother, the way she put it was they were going mad the roads and you'd be afraid of your living life. She was afraid even they'd come into the house. They were very, very tough times.
You were telling me a story, Nanny, the last time. You were telling me a story about when one of your brothers or sisters were born with the black and tans around. Do you remember you were telling me that story?
Well, that's right. One of them was about to be born, like she was getting ready to go to bed. And he was getting ready to go to bed. And she said, you can leave on here one boot taken off. She said, you can put that back on you now again. She said, I'm afraid, she said, you'll have to go for the midwife. So now he had to go across the fields. He had to go down across the fields to this farmer's place where he worked to catch this pony, to put him under this trap, to go for the midwife. Now, he was a terrible contrary pony. You couldn't catch him at the best of times. And that night, he walked straight over to him in the field. So before he got back, my mother, the baby arrived, and my mother just put it on her knee. And the black and tans were going at the time, and they could have come in, she said, and done away with me inside in the bed. It was one of my older sisters that were there, like, you know, and everything was perfect when the midwife came.
So you were telling me that in the evening time, that was it before bed?
About 10 o'clock. And no matter where any of the rest of the boys and girls were, they had to be home at 10 o'clock, and we all had to kneel down to say the rosary. And there was no such a thing as you laughing or anything like that, because if you did, you get a belt across the side of the jaw. And that's the way life was like for us.
Brilliant. School then, Nanny, school. Where did you go to school?
Went to school then in Mockler's Hill. And sure, half the time we went in our bare feet because we hadn't a shoe to wear. And we'd have our little bit of lunch. They'd done the best they could for us. So our bit of lunch maybe would be a couple of cuts of bread, and to be dry and to be wrapped up in a bit of newspaper. And by the time lunchtime would come, we had it eaten because we were so hungry. And if we wanted a drink then, we had to go across the road. There was a tap, a big, we call it a pump, that you press on the handle and the water would come out, and you put your mouth underneath it to get a drink. So we'd be happy with that. Then we'd be coming home from school in the evenings and we'd think we'd never get home. And we used to go into the fields long ago and you'd get the turnips, you know, the young, and we'd bring them out onto the road and we'd break them off of the road and we'd be eating them because they used to be lovely and sweet when they'd be raw. And that's what we do till we get home. And my mother then, she'd have a big pot of porridge made, and we'd be delighted to have a bowl of that, but there was no milk or no sugar in it. And she'd done the best she could and gave us what she could, like, so that was life for us, and we thought it was wonderful. And we never had one word between us. We all stood by each other, and there was never a word in the house. I never remembered a row in the house between my mum and dad. Everything was really happy. And even on Sundays, my dad would be going off to Mass into Cashel, and he'd be walking in the road, and my mum then would be trying to get us all ready to bring us all into Mass, like. And we'd all be running along beside her in to go to Mass. And then maybe whichever one of them then maybe didn't go, like, they'd have to, whatever clothes, we'd have to share what we had, like. And we had our Sunday clothes and our everyday clothes, like. They were for Sunday, and then we had our other clothes for, we say, going to school and that. But no, we had a lovely life, very happy. There was 14 of us. There was 10 girls and 4 boys. And of course, I didn't get a chance, but the rest of them were much the same. They had to go away to England and that to work, to make the money, to try and send it home for my mum.
So you were in England and you went in?
When I was only 14. Like, as I often said, I was lucky to be able to read and write because we didn't get a chance to go to school.
And who did you work for over there? You worked for?
I worked for Jewish people, and they were very, very good to me. My sisters, they took me over, my older sisters, but then they were miles away from me.
Okay.
And I used to only see them once a week. They'd come and collect me and take me to my uncles. My mother's brothers were living over there, and that's where we used to go then for the afternoon. And they'd bring me back then, and I wouldn't see outside the door again until the following week. Oh, but they were like mother and father to me, like, you know, they treated me like their own.
Was it in London you were?
It was in Hillingdon in London.
Hillingdon in London.
Yeah.
So you came home then when you were 20?
On holiday when I was about 20, and then I might have come home maybe before that, but I was working in Our Lady's Hospital then.
Okay. Is that where you met
And
Grandad?
that's how I met him afterwards. He was going out with one of my sisters first.
Which one?
I think it was Esther.
So you went for the younger model, was it?
He went for the younger model. He always had his eye on me.
Is that what he told you?
So that's what he told me, that's right.
Yeah. So what year were you married, Nanny, then?
Then 8th of the 9th, 1953. The love of my life.
So where did you get married?
Got married here in Cashel.
Okay. And was it? Did you get married early in the morning? Or?
Got out in the morning, and I had to go out home in my own house in Rathholden. We had our breakfast, and then after that, one of my sisters was living in Thurles, and we went over to her then for the afternoon. That was our honeymoon.
And where did you live then, Nan?
We lived over in the Green, a small little house over in the Green. There was only a bedroom and a kitchen, and I had 3 or 4 children in that little small house. So then I came to live in Cattlebrew, and I'm here living since here.
Grandad then, what did Grandad work at, Nanny?
He worked with the farmers, and he worked, he used to be out at night even doing beat, and he'd work by the moonlight, and he used to go off out then, he used to be getting rabbits, and he used to sell the rabbits, skin them and clean them and sell them to make money. He was a great man to try and make a living.
All the lads helped out then?
They helped him out then. He had them all going, and they never stopped. So saying, every one of them today, they do nothing, only work.
They can't sit down for a minute, any of them, can they?
No.
My grandfather Billy Fitzell was born in Cashel in 1923. His parents were Mary O'Donnell and Henry Fitzell, who was better known as Harry. Harry Fitzell was a Protestant from the townsland of Carhoon-na-Keela in North County Kerry. Harry and Mary Fitzell were married in St. John the Baptist Church, Cashel, on Valentine's Day 1919. The celebrant was Dean Innocent Ryan. Mixed marriages in Ireland were comparatively rare prior to the First World War. The population census of 1911 established that mixed marriages on the island amounted to less than 1% in total. Harry and Mary reared 6 children. Sadly, 2 died at a young age. Henry died in 1928 and Peter, who was the oldest, died in 1934. The children who survived were Johnny, Margaret, Billy and Henry. Henry, the youngest, was named after his brother who died before he was born, a custom common in Ireland at the time. When Harry died in March 1958, he was interred on the Rock of Cashel. Even though he converted to the Catholic faith to marry Mary, he was denied the right to be buried in the Catholic graveyard. 3 of Harry's sons lay in the grave with him on St. Patrick's Rock of Cashel: Peter and both his sons Henry. Mary is buried in the cemetery on the Clonmel Road with my grandfather Billy. Personally, I think it's a great shame that Harry and Mary are not buried together. Life could not have been easy for a mixed marriage couple in Ireland in the first half of the 20th century. So how did Granda join the fire brigade?
He was I suppose there was a space there for somebody to take on the job, so he applied for it and he got it. So then as he went up along the line, he became a
was the fire officer.
And he was in it then for I don't know how many years. Like,
loved being a fireman.
Always, and even when he retired, he was still interested to the day he died.
I suppose Daddy and
yes.
my father
yes.
and after then.
After then, yes, the sons followed his footsteps.
Yeah.
So we had the phone in the house at that time, and I used to have to get up to answer the phone and get the message while he'd be getting himself dressed, and I'd get a chance to go across the road to put off the siren then. But now it is all worked by they have little buttons or something to press now and then.
So the two of you really were on call then?
So the two of us were on call, yes.
Yeah.
And when I was up then, that was the end of it. I could be up for the rest of the night then with one of the children crying.
You were telling me a funny story that a woman called to the door here one day. Was there one of the lads outside in the
yes. It was one of the boys now, it was, and he was very contrary, very cross, and a very hungry child. And no matter what you give me, he wouldn't stay quiet. So I was so wore out from him and so tormented. I put him out into the garden. He was, after being fed, and he was nice and dry and clean, and he was roaring away outside, and this lady came to the door and she said, "Do you understand that the baby is out in the garden, he's crying?" And I said, "Yes, I put him out there because I couldn't keep listening to him."
That's why he was out there.
That's why he was out there.
Very good. Nan, it must have been hard rearing a big family in them times.
It was, definitely, yes, but it meant nothing to me, like, you know. It just came naturally. And I had 9 lovely children, and they're there for me now today, for every beck and call, which is something that a lot of people can't say, you know. I can't move or stir now, but I'm seeing. So that's my story.
And wouldn't change a bit?
I wouldn't change it for the world. And my husband now is dead, going on 11 years. And I'm hoping for the day that I'll be with him, please God.
Not too soon,
Not too
we
soon.
hope.
Oh. And they're all hoping for that.
No. Thanks very much, Nan.